NBA fantasy drafts coming up. Here's a few centers I would avoid this season. The first guy is LaQuan Holmes of the Sacramento Kings. So LaQuan Holmes, no doubt about it, had a great season last year for the Kings. 14.2 points a game, 8.3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.6 blocks, 63% from the field. But right here, LaQuan Holmes, he's going anywhere from the third or fourth round of fantasy drafts this season. But I don't think he's going to duplicate those numbers like he did last season. And he got his big money now over there in Sacramento. And usually some of these guys, they get their big money and the numbers go down here. So LaQuan Holmes, he had one great season in the NBA. And this season with the Kings, we'll see if he does anything. But right now, I just don't want to draft him. I'll avoid him. And I can find better options at the center position, in my opinion, later in your fantasy draft. Because right now, I think they're ranking him too high after one season. And in my opinion, I think LaQuan Holmes is a one-hit wonder. The next center I would avoid this season is Mitchell Robinson of the New York Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, he missed most of the season last year with an ankle and a foot injury, is Robinson. And right now, there's no timetable for his return as well. And in my opinion, Nerlens Noel, he outplayed him last year for fantasy basketball and as a rim protector as well for the New York Knicks. So Mitch Robinson, he's going anywhere from the 6th to the 8th round right now in fantasy drafts. And last season, 8.3 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 1.1 steals, 1.5 blocks, and 65% from the field. So right here, he's a great field goal percentage guy and a good shot blocker. But right here, he don't do much of anything else for fantasy owners. And I think the Knicks here, they're going to take baby steps with Mitch Robinson. Obviously, he's pretty fragile, and they don't want him to get re-injured once again this season. So right now, with his injury problems and low productive numbers, in my opinion, for fantasy basketball, he's definitely a center I would avoid this season. The next center is Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors. So Draymond Green, last season, a mediocre year, 7 points a game, 7.1 rebounds, did have 9 assists, 1.7 steals. He don't hit 3-pointers, half a 3 a game, and 44% from the field. So Draymond Green, he's going about 5th to 6th round this season. But last year, his fantasy numbers weren't all that great. He's going to have many nights where he's only going to score 3 to 5 points in a game. And I know he gives you a lot of categories with the rebound and assist and steals, but he's a guy that misses a lot of games as well over the last few seasons. So right here, with him going high in fantasy drafts, like I mentioned, 4th to the 6th round range, he's a player I'm going to avoid in my opinion. Just too many DMPs for me with Draymond Green and too many games where he's not scoring the basketball enough. And you need those points and field goals made, especially in head-to-head leagues. So right here, I'm going to avoid Draymond Green. The next center is Drummond of the Philadelphia 76ers. So Drummond only got a one-year deal here to back up Joel Embiid this season. And Drummond last year, he didn't play many games. He was with, obviously, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who sat him out for most of the season until they bought him out. And then he went to the Los Angeles Lakers, where that didn't end up well for him. So last year, great numbers, 15 points a game, 12.4 assists, and 49% from the field. But he only played about 35, 40 games last season was Drummond. And this year with the Sixers, he's going to be a backup. Obviously, we know Joel Embiid is an injury-prone center. But this season, I think he could get things pretty decent as Embiid and play a lot of ball games. So right here, you're just banking on getting Drummond as a guy who's going to produce and be a good fantasy asset. And right now he's going 9th to the 11th round range, which isn't bad in my opinion. But right here, no way he's going to put up those numbers unless Embiid is going to be out for a very long time this season. So that's the final center I would avoid drafting this season's Jonas Valanciunas of the New Orleans Pelicans. So Valanciunas, the newest center over there in New Orleans, after Steven Adams got traded for him in a couple-player deal early in the offseason. So Valanciunas last season, he was great with the Memphis Grizzlies. 17 points a game, 12.5 rebounds, 1.8 assists, and 59% from the field. But the thing is here with Valanciunas is, right here, when you play next to a guy like Zion Williamson, you're going to lose points, you're going to lose rebounds. And we saw that happen last season when Steven Adams was over there in New Orleans. I thought he was going to have a good year for fantasy owners and the Pelicans, but he just didn't fit. And Valanciunas, he's pretty similar in a way as Steven Adams. Is a garbage guy in putback plays. Obviously, I know Valanciunas, he has that little touch jumper, which definitely can help him this season more than Steven Adams last year. But right here, too many scorers over there in New Orleans. I think his scoring per game is going to go down, and I think his rebounds per game are going to go down as well here. So Valanciunas getting drafted anywhere from the late third, early fifth round of fantasy drafts. I just don't think the production is going to be as good as it was last season with Memphis. And he's a center avoid because of his ADP, so that's a few centers I would avoid here entering fantasy drafts in the upcoming season.